friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Elle. I do mostly bookish videos, but sometimes other stuff too. And can I just quickly say, it has been a minute since I have done a darker look, let alone a really dark lipstick, and I'm kind of feeling myself, so just wanted to put that out there. Welcome to my first episode of Book Talk, where I basically just ramble about my thoughts on a particular book. Gracing us in episode 1 is The Iron Raven by Julie Kagawa, and this is the first book in a new Iron Fae trilogy titled Evenfall. Please be aware that there are 2 other previous series. Technically, the first group had 4, but nonetheless. And also 4 accompanying novellas. With that being said, I will probably spoil some major plot points of those other trilogies. There are characters and situations that have come to pass thanks to events in those books, and I can't really avoid mentioning them because it correlates to what is happening in this book. As for the actual book, The Iron Raven, I will vaguely refer to certain plot points, but hopefully not unveil anything major. With that being said, I won't be offended if you feel the need to tune out now. I understand that you don't want to be spoiled. But for the rest of us, let's move on with this book talk. Personally, I don't think you can just jump into Evenfall. Before Evenfall, there was a trilogy titled Call of the Forgotten, which focused on Megan's younger brother Ethan and her son Kieran. I think you need to at least read that series before Evenfall because we meet the Forgotten, a group of Fae who the world no longer remembers, which is causing them to cease to exist or fade. Essentially, they're dying. We first meet the Forgotten in Call of the Forgotten. Take a shot every time I say Forgotten. Although briefly explained in The Iron Raven, you definitely get a lot more detail in that other series, so I would recommend reading Call of the Forgotten first. Now, The Iron Raven. How do I explain my thoughts? What to say? Basically, I am real damn conflicted about this book, and it is tearing me up inside. If you're new here, you may not know this, but I am a huge fan of the original Iron Fae series, and I want to give it nothing but love. However, I just don't know how to feel about this new book. Essentially, this book is told through Puck's point of view as some strange things start to occur among the Fae. There is this monster, first mentioned in Shadow's Legacy, which is a novella bridging Call of the Forgotten with Evenfall. Julie Kagawa really loves her novellas. So it's not a regular Fae creature, and it is transforming even the most docile of Fae into hate-filled, violence-seeking, bloodthirsty creatures. So of course, Puck and Co. set out to defeat this monster and hopefully make everything right in the Never Never Again. But as usual, that's easier said than done. And I guess on its own, that kind of sounds interesting enough. I don't know. My main issue is the execution. I feel like we have seen the song and dance in the past 2 series, and I was really wishing for something a bit more fresh. I don't know what exactly, but it wasn't that. We have an unexplained antagonist that shouldn't exist and no one can identify. We gather our crew of side characters, go to the person who will have more information, and then BAM! Discover it's part of a prophecy and doomsday is but a foot away. I just feel like I've seen this before. Something that bugs me is that the happenings in this series are yet again part of another prophecy, which have been part of plots in the previous 2 series, and I'm not gonna lie, it's getting a bit old. Like, we can't just get all of these prophecies up front all at once and just get it done and over with. I don't know if I've just outgrown it or if I've seen it too many times, but I loved the actual going on the journey, on the quest in the Iron King book 1 of the Iron Fae series, but it just seemed to drag in this one. I wasn't intrigued or enraptured, I was just cruising along. The adrenaline and high stakes weren't there. To put it bluntly, I was bored. Also, there was this whole thing with Puck that he gets touched by the monster's smoky tendrils of hatred, which unlocks this dark, twisted side of him that no one has seen in centuries. Except, we still don't see that dark, twisted side of him. We hear from him and a few other side characters about the return of this horrible, vicious version of Puck, but it's all talk and no show. He says a couple of mean things to Ash, maybe makes a death threat or 2, but that's about it. That's the extent of the darkness. His past persona is referenced, but no real hard evidence of it is ever shown to us, which is honestly a letdown. I would have loved to have seen a vicious Puck, kind of like with Ash in the Iron Knight, or hell, even the Iron Daughter. I wanted to see Puck tap into his cruel side. I mean, villains are all the rage right now, and it was truly a missed opportunity for this series to feel a bit more intense, a bit more wild, just darker, as it's such a tame series. Puck also gets a love interest in this book, but it's very insta-lovey, which I get is how it went for Megan and Ash, but we know so little about Nyx, the forgotten assassin now working for King Kieran, King of the Forgotten. Nyx is also first encountered in Shadow's Legacy, that novella I mentioned earlier. It was just such an instant infatuation with her, or perhaps just quicker or more obvious in their situation than with Megan and Ash, and he's already being so self-pitying about it, which is annoying. At least Megan and Ash had that whole star-crossed lovers thing going for them. Puck and Nyx are just going to drive each other apart for the sake of driving each other apart. No, I don't want to hurt you. No, I don't want to hurt you. Puck already said in the book that he felt completely undeserving of Nyx, and I don't know, that just immediately raised a red flag with me. Bottom line, I don't know how I feel about this new romance yet. The big bad villain, if it can even be called that, was also so whack. Yes, it's corrupting the fey creatures, which is a big no-no, but we hype it up to be this indestructible monster, and then literally the most ridiculous of things is its downfall. I'm not going to spoil that for you because you need to have that WTF moment that I did, but just know it's freaking ridiculous. Again, the execution just fell flat with the monster. Like I referenced earlier, at the end of the book, we are told about this doomsday prophecy that is inevitable and already on its way. As if that weren't bad enough, our motley crew also receives a surprising blow that I also don't want to reveal because that is really the big main cliffhanger of the book. But not gonna lie, I was surprised about that. I didn't see it coming, so we have that going for us. Another thing that stuck out to me was the lack of characters of color. 10 years later, and this is still such a whitewashed cast, we're in freaking fairy world and you're telling me there's not a single character of color. This was a negative in the very first book, and it continues to be a negative in this newest installment, and I truly hope the author makes the decision to add characters of color as well as characters with varying sexual orientations, as that's also really, really lacking. To add in some positive thoughts, there were a few flashbacks that I did really enjoy. We see how Puck got to join the summer court and also his first encounter with Ash, so that was a fun little tidbit for us OG readers. I didn't hate this book. I know it may sound like I did, but I really didn't. I just wanted more. It was so average, and again, it could be colored by my bias of the original series, but it was so average and bland. Overall, I'm disappointed that this book didn't raise the stakes the way that I expected it to. I wanted to see some growth in the characters and storytelling, but it feels like the same story that I read almost 10 years ago. The characters still read really young to me in comparison to other YA series, and it's been nearly 10 years. And maybe it is that I've just outgrown the series, but you'd think there'd be some kind of development. I will continue reading this new series and supporting the author nonetheless because I am loyal to a fault. I will ride or die for this series, and I just hope that they will get better as we go along. At the very least, I will be content to just be in the presence of old characters who I cherish so, so much. I haven't rated this book yet. I think it's a 3 stars, but I'm just not totally sure about it, so I'm going to just leave it undetermined for now. Those are my very jumbled thoughts on the new Iron Fae book, The Iron Raven. Feel free to leave me your opinions down below. If you have read this, let me know down in the comments. Did you enjoy this more than I did? Did I miss something? I really hope this doesn't discourage anyone from starting up the series, but I just felt like I owed it to you all to be honest, since I am the first one hyping up this series. And that's really it to this video. Please give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. My name is Elle. Thank you all for discussing with me, and I'll see you in next time's video.